你知道女生多大才知道后悔吗？
Do you know at what age older single women start to regret it? Recently, I've received consultations from several women over 40. Indeed, these older single women are beginning to regret it. Especially today, a 43-year-old woman made me reflect deeply. She is 160 centimeters tall, has a master's degree, and earns about 200,000 yuan a year. She admitted that when she was younger, she excelled academically, and right after graduating with her master's degree, many men pursued her, some with very good qualifications. However, at that time, she didn't choose to get married but focused on her career, hoping to buy a house in the city center and further improve her status so she could confidently find a higher quality partner. She did follow this plan. However, without realizing it, she was already past 30. By the time she was in her early 30s, her career had not reached the expectations she had set. There was not much difference from when she had just graduated. So, she decided to try matchmaking to find a suitable partner. But once she entered the dating market, she found that there were very few quality men, and most of the rare good ones no longer considered women over 30. She lingered in the dating market for several years, and by the time she was 32 or 33, she gradually accepted the fact that if she couldn't find a suitable partner, she might as well live alone. After all, she was already accustomed to single life. But when she reached 37 or 38, things suddenly changed. One day, her mother fell ill, and she and her father took turns caring for her in the hospital. At the time, she didn't think much of it until her mother said to her, "I'm sick, and you and your father are here to take care of me. But when you get old and fall ill, who will take care of you?" This statement struck her deeply, and she suddenly realized that she might face the same dilemma in the future. So, she re-entered the dating market. But by then, she found that there were almost no men who met her standards. She still couldn't accept men with poor conditions, so she continued to wait and delay. By the time she turned 39, her anxiety grew stronger because she knew that after 40, the chances of finding a suitable partner would be even slimmer. Eventually, she chose a man whose conditions were decent. He was 165 centimeters tall, had a bachelor's degree, and earned about 300,000 yuan a year. But this man had a teenage son. Although she tried to compromise, during their relationship, many conflicts arose between her, the man, and his child. She eventually realized that she couldn't accept being part of a family with a child, and they ended up parting ways. A few years later, her parents passed away in succession. All these factors compounded, and she felt increasingly lonely. Especially after her mother's funeral, returning to an empty home made her feel particularly helpless. She told me, "Now I think if it really doesn't work out, I'll just find an older companion to spend the rest of my life with. Growing old alone is really scary." She said that her standards for a partner have now lowered significantly. As long as the man is over 165 centimeters tall, and as long as he can support himself, it's enough. If he has a house to live in, that would be even better. She doesn't need a man to support her financially, she just hopes to have someone to grow old with, to accompany her through old age. Through this woman's experience, we can see that many older single women only start to lower their expectations for a partner after reaching their 40s and facing their parents aging and passing. They may even no longer care much about material conditions or appearance standards. But by then, they often realize that it might be too late.
咱们群里啊，一个87年的未婚姑娘。
In our women's group, there is a single woman born in 1987 who gave some advice to the sisters in the group who are under 30 and still unmarried. I think what she said makes a lot of sense, so I especially want to share it with everyone. I hope that those girls under 30 who are still not married will read it carefully and think it through.
She said,
To those of you who are not yet 30, you must resolve your major life issue, which is marriage, before you turn 30. Whatever you do, don't drag it out like I did until your 30s. By the time you're this age, you'll find that your standards will only keep lowering. Now I just hope to find anyone who has a car and a house. I no longer insist that the house must be in the city center. Actually, the suburbs are fine too. As long as the man has a stable job and makes around 6,000 to 7,000 yuan a month, I can accept that. But even with my standards lowered to this level, it's getting harder and harder to find someone suitable. Once a woman turns 30, you'll realize that options like this are almost non-existent. Even men who are in good shape won't choose someone my age. They're more likely to go for women in their 20s. I remember when I was 25 to 27 years old, when a guy invited me out to dinner. Everything was planned meticulously. It wasn't just a meal, there would be a movie too, and the whole process felt ceremonial. But by the time I was 27 to 30, when I met up with guys, most of the time it was just for a cup of coffee. Moreover, I found that as I got older, guys' enthusiasm for me kept dwindling. Now that I'm over 30, even getting invited for coffee has become rarer. Sometimes, all we do is grab a drink at McDonald's or KFC. Occasionally, a generous guy would take me to dinner, but his overall situation would often be very poor. My standards used to be really high, always thinking I'd find someone who was perfect for me in every way. At that time, I missed out on many men who were actually quite good, unmarried, financially stable. Looking back now, any one of them would be much better than the men I encounter now. Now, the men I find somewhat acceptable are mostly in their 40s, divorced, and with children. If I marry one of them, I'd have to accept the reality of becoming a stepmother. If I lower my standards and find someone with poor financial conditions, I'd end up with someone earning 5,000 or 6,000 yuan a month, and I'd probably have to help him pay off his mortgage, car loan, and even support his whole family. Even when I manage to meet someone who meets my expectations, the man's attitude towards me is often indifferent, or he outright rejects me upon hearing my age. I've even met some really strange people, some who, after only talking for one day, invited me to their house, and others who confessed that they were 500,000 yuan in debt and asked if I'd help them pay it off. Not long ago, I met a man in his 40s, divorced without children. He had a car, a house, and a good job. At the time, I thought I'd hit the jackpot, but he kept questioning me, constantly asking why I was with him and what I was after. This experience left me feeling incredibly frustrated. So now, I just want to tell all the sisters under 30, if you meet a man who is in good condition and doesn't have too much baggage, don't hesitate, just marry him. Otherwise, after you turn 30, women's situations often become more passive, and society places even harsher demands on us. No matter how outstanding you are personally, this unfair reality won't change. I really want to get married now, but every time I think about going on a blind date, it fills me with immense dread. While you're still young and the opportunities are abundant, and while your needs are mostly aligned with others, take advantage of the fact that you're in the prime age. Don't let it slip by, or you'll end up at this awkward age like me, walking down the same path.
昨天晚上，我一个女会员在出租车上给我打了很久的语音。
Last night, one of my female clients sent me a long voice message, which she recorded while riding in a taxi. This client has been with me for almost a year. I've introduced many men to her, but she always rejects them because they don't meet one of her conditions. Last night, she was at a restaurant celebrating her 33rd birthday with her girlfriends. After the party, their husbands came to pick them up with their kids. The children were cuddling up to their mothers, asking to be held, while the husbands lovingly attended to their wives. Some brought scarves for their wives, some bought snacks, and some gently embraced their wives, whispering sweet words in their ears. The scene of three families together was warm, happy, and filled with love. But she was the only one standing alone, quietly hailing a taxi to go home. On the way home, she sent me a voice message, sounding quite melancholy. She told me that she's finally willing to lower her standards for a partner. She admitted that she feels a bit envious of the marriages her friends have. In fact, this woman has excellent qualities. She graduated from college, is 165 centimeters tall, owns her own house and car in the city, and works as a civil servant. However, she has always held high standards for men. If a guy didn't meet one of her expectations, she wouldn't give him a chance for further contact. Now, she's finally realized that she needs to change and is willing to lower her standards slightly. To be honest, I've always thought that she should have started lowering her expectations when she was 28 or 29. Now, at 33, it might be a bit late.
我真的觉得有一些姑娘啊，即使你降低了你的择偶要求，我依然觉得很难。
I really feel that some girls, even if they lower their standards for choosing a partner, I still think it's hard for them to find a suitable one. You can get a sense of this. Yesterday, a lady born in 1990 came to my place, and last night she told me about her experiences. To be honest, her situation is indeed not easy. She once held a wedding ceremony and completed the wedding ritual, but she didn't register for a marriage certificate. This means that legally she is still single, even though in reality there's a de facto marriage. She told me her story in great detail. and after listening, I truly felt that her situation was very complicated. She is currently working in Taiyuan and has signed a labor dispatch contract, with a monthly salary of only 1,800 yuan. Since she is from out of town, she longs to find a local man in Taiyuan as her partner. Moreover, she hopes the other party's annual income is at least 150,000 yuan, preferably over 150,000, because her own income is very low, so she hopes her partner's income can be higher. In fact, her previous standard was even higher. She wanted the man to have an annual income of over 200,000 yuan, and both the house and car had to be bought outright. Now, while she hasn't changed her requirements for the house and car, she's willing to accept a smaller house. About 120 square meters is enough. Regarding height, she's also made some compromises. She used to require the man to be at least 1.8 meters tall, but now 1.78 meters or above will do. Because when she wears height-increasing shoes, she's about 1.55 meters tall. It's because she herself is short and slightly chubby, so she hopes the man can be taller and have a strong build, as this would make her feel safe. She believes that such a complementary relationship is the real reason she seeks a man. Another thing, she has 2 younger brothers, so she firmly refuses to find a man who also has 2 brothers. If the man has 1 older sister or younger sister, she can accept that. Additionally, because she is from out of town, she must find a local boy from Taiyuan. Her parents are farmers, and she used to hope that both of the man's parents could have retirement pensions. Now, she has slightly relaxed that requirement, and as long as one parent has a pension, it's acceptable. Although it sounds like she has made some compromises in these areas, I still feel that it's very difficult to find someone who meets all her criteria. She is only willing to consider men who are no more than 3 years older than her, which means her target age range is between 1987 and 1990. Moreover, she is firmly against considering divorced men. She thinks that many divorced people have issues, even though I told her that many divorced men here are actually very excellent. It's just because of some special reasons, like infidelity on the other side or irreconcilable conflicts, that led to the divorce. Most divorced people are actually quite normal, but she just won't accept it. Her situation is also quite unique, and there really aren't many men who can accept that she has held a wedding but hasn't registered it legally. Moreover, I know that men who meet all her requirements often choose younger girls born after 1995. In this case, I really am not sure if she will be able to find a suitable partner. What do you think?
我是86年的，今年38岁。
I am a woman born in 1986, and I am 38 years old this year. Since I published a video about my standards for choosing a partner, I've found that many people attack and comment on me. Am I not allowed to pursue my own love just because I'm 38? As long as I'm not married, I can still call myself young lady or little fairy. Although I am already 38, I feel that I am not old at all. In fact, I am very sought after. I believe I am also very beautiful and my figure is great. My viewpoint is that only those men who can't find a wife and women who can't get married exist. I just refuse to settle, and you don't need to be jealous of me. Ultimately, I will definitely find a satisfactory husband.
34岁大龄女生相亲的一天。
Today is the day I, a 34-year-old leftover woman, have my blind date. To avoid appearing nervous, I decided to stroll around the area before my date arrives. My friends always advise me that as a leftover woman, I have no advantages in the dating market, and I should feel satisfied if I can find a man, not to be too picky. This makes me feel somewhat conflicted. My date is 3 years younger than me, and we met through chatting in an online group. His conditions are quite average. He has neither a house nor a car. We found a hamburger shop nearby, sat down, and started eating and chatting. This guy doesn't talk much and gives a very honest impression, but his conditions are quite average, which disappoints me a bit. I curiously asked about his salary, and it turned out to be low as well. In fact, my ideal partner should have a house and a car. Nothing particularly luxurious, but it's a must. And his salary should ideally be double mine, so that we can alleviate living pressures in the future. Moreover, I hope his education level is higher than mine because I have struggled with studies since childhood, and considering the education of future children, it would be better if he is smarter. During the chat, since we weren't very familiar with each other, I felt embarrassed to eat too much, so I didn't get full at the hamburger shop. After getting home, I cooked a bit more food to satisfy my hunger.
I often contemplate whether marriage is good or bad. Living without marriage is actually quite nice. I earn my own money and spend it as I like, without worrying about someone else, and I don't need to cook or do laundry, nor do I have to deal with emotional turmoil from arguments. However, my parents constantly push me to get married every few days, which makes me feel frustrated. The Northeast sauerkraut I made today was truly delicious. I ended up eating more than half a pot of it all by myself, along with a big bowl of rice. I've noticed that whenever I eat with unfamiliar people, I always feel like I can't get full. My date also bought me some candied hawthorn, and the sweet taste really lifted my spirits. It was indeed quite tasty.
Many people believe that the only way for older single women to find a partner is to lower their requirements, but I hold a different view. I believe that the key for older single women to find a suitable partner lies in recognizing their own needs. It's important to emphasize that this is not simply about lowering standards, but rather about deeply understanding what one truly wants. For example, there was a girl who had clear standards for her boyfriend, such as a minimum height of 1.8 meters and a handsome appearance. However, she later found happiness with a boyfriend who was only 1.7 meters tall and of average looks. External opinions might suggest she lowered her standards, but in reality, she didn't. She became clearly aware that height and appearance were not the key factors affecting her happiness. She discovered that her 1.7-meter boyfriend had other advantages, such as good financial stability, a caring personality, and a strong sense of responsibility. These qualities became more important to her once she recognized her own needs. What I mean by recognizing needs is helping older single women understand which conditions are crucial for them and which are not. Once they clarify this, they can change their preferences and appreciate more important qualities, rather than clinging to unnecessary conditions. This shift is not forced. It occurs naturally as a person gains more experience and understanding. Many older single women often complain that people around them tell them to lower their standards. Yet deep down, they know they cannot compromise and cannot like those who do not meet their standards. After all, finding a partner is not as simple as buying a car. It's not just about settling for a Honda if one cannot afford a Porsche. Love requires emotional resonance, not mere compromise. Therefore, I believe the path for older single women lies in recognizing their needs, allowing them to genuinely change their partner preferences from the heart, rather than simply lowering standards. If a partner is found only by lowering standards, these older single women are likely to remain unsatisfied. Over time, they often feel discontent, which can lead to more conflicts and problems. However, when they understand their true needs, they are more likely to encounter a partner who brings them happiness. Of course, this awareness does not mean that such recognition can only happen at an older age. The earlier women realize their true needs and engage in self-reflection, the more opportunities they will have to find a suitable partner. What do you think about this? We welcome your comments, as I would love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to provide you with better content. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.